with Olivia. Again, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Your mic's not on yet. There you go.
No problem. Thanks for having us. And while I've got it in my mind, Leslie Satcher wrote that song.
Okay.
And Mark Nessler wrote The Part I Don't Understand. It's a great slow song on there as well. He's actually married to Jennifer Hansen, who was a huge country star herself. And her dad actually produced the album. And he played with Alabama for like 15, 20 years. So pretty star-studded little afternoon for me recording out there, but I had a blast doing it, and it's an honor to sing their songs. So
sure.
I should remember their names a little bit more. Brain lapse.
Let's talk a little bit. We mentioned briefly Nashville, and it's real close to Louisville. It's just right down 65 there. And how often are you in the Music City there?
I go. Not frequently, as much as I should, actually. But the album was recorded there.
Right.
And we haven't had any shows in Nashville. I've played with a few other bands, just sat in as I was there, just visiting. But never had any gigs there. It's just so hard to play as a female artist, to play for 4 hours at a time, and it's a rough gig. But hopefully we'll be out there a little bit doing some showcases. We've been in the works with that, so hopefully that'll come about here soon.
Well, great. Well, let's talk a little bit about the recording of the album. This was your debut album, so I'm assuming this is your first time in the studio.
I've done like little local things. I actually did a few like cover albums, just with karaoke tracks at a friend's house, but nothing actually, watching these people listen to my song or listen to that song one time, chart it out, and go like they've heard it all their life was just amazing. And the creativity that went behind it, the drummer or he was the drummer, but percussion, tambourines and egg shakers and like all this stuff. And I mean, just he was sweating by the time he was done, and I was like, wow, that's like amazing. That just to watch people do their thing was just amazing. And I mean, mic technique and everything in the world that you can imagine that you just don't think about doing, and it's definitely different than being on stage and in a live setting. Was just a definitely learning experience, and I'm glad that I was able to do that in such a great city for country music. So it was just an honor to do
you want to plug the studio any chance?
It was Fatback Studios. It's just a little old house made into a studio, so it was very home feeling. I just felt like we were just a bunch of friends just sitting around making music. So it was really cool.
Well, good. So what do you, obviously you have aspirations. You want to be Entertainer of the Year, Country Music Entertainer of the Year. So what do you do, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to kind of get your name out there? And
we're constantly on Facebook and Twitter, and we're actually kind of at a slower period for shows as far as public shows. We're doing a lot of private parties during the summer or during the springtime, but I'm constantly vocally training and just trying to get as much, publicity as possible. Plug in my name as, having people try to get to follow me a little bit more. And because I have people who come up to me at shows and, oh, well, this is my first time here. How have I not heard about you before? And I'm like, please tell all your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the song we're about to play. In the middle of it says, don't forget to bring a friend. So I think that's like our tagline. Next time you come to a show, don't forget to bring a friend.
There you go. There you go. Well, I couldn't have segued that any better. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. I need your job. No, I don't need your job. I would be terrible at being a radio broadcaster.
Well, you're doing fine right now. But so what do we got now coming up?
This is called Louise, and I picked this song for the album because I thought it was just such a cool. It tells the story of Thelma and Louise in a modern day version, but it's pretty cool. And we kept thinking we wanted to use this song for the first video, but when you think about this song, you see a mini movie coming together, and we were like, oh, that would just be too much to try to do in the first video. But this is one of I know this is one of my mom's favorites, and it's a countryer song on the album. So let's give it to him, James.
All right.
She traded in a pickup for a Pontiac, packed a suitcase full of swimsuits, threw it in the back as the sun touched the ground. Spray painted her goodbye on the City Hall plaque. Gave her mama and her daddy a heartbreak attack on her way out of town. I told her, girl, slow down. Hold on, wait a minute, you can't leave. You're a whole country mile past a wild street. All alone, you'll float up a creek, 'cause you can't sweet talk your enemies. Hold on, Thelma, you're gonna need a Louise. We didn't know where we were going, so we drove all night. We were dancing in the desert by the morning light, flirting with the sand. 2 empty wallets, chocolate malts and fries, and a bill waving waitress chasing us outside, yelling, I'm not mad. Just let me in on your plan. She said, hold on, wait a minute, you can't leave. You're a whole country mile past a wild street. All alone, you'll float up a creek, 'cause you can't sweet talk your enemies. Hold on, Thelma, you're gonna need a Louise. We've all got a little restless spirit circling inside. When you get the chance, let it take you for a ride. Don't forget to bring a friend. Hold on, wait a minute, you can't leave. You're a whole country mile past a wild street. All alone, you'll float up a creek, 'cause you can't sweet talk your enemies. Hold on, Thelma, you're gonna need a Louise. You're gonna need a Louise. Oh, Louise. 'Cause you can't sweet talk your enemies. Hold on, Thelma, you're gonna need a Louise.
All right. Olivia Henken and Jimmy G on guitar.
Jimmy G.
And
Never
Olivia.
gets old
Yeah.
saying.
You know, if you don't mind, Olivia, I'm going to talk about Jimmy here for a second.
No
because,
problem.
You know, Crescent Hill Radio, as I always say, I beat it into people's brains, is all about local and regional, original music. And we're also about just local, you know, businesses in general. We had Mr. John Timmons on the show not too long ago as a guest host, and he actually heads up the Louisville Independent Business Alliance, I think is what
great.
it is. And, you know, we're a big supporter of local businesses, and you own one of those local businesses, Jimmy's Music in New Albany. So I'm going to give you a chance to plug your business here.
Great. Okay. I didn't expect this. My wife and I, about 7 years ago, purchased a business. It was Kentuckiana Music Center, and of course we changed it to Jimmy.
Right.
Because it sounded cool. Jimmy's Music Center. It's on the corner of Pearl and Market, downtown New Albany, 123 East Market. New Albany, really, if you're not familiar with New Albany, it's really seen a resurrection, renaissance, just the whole thing. There's actually some Louisville restaurants that have moved into that area, Wick's Pizza, Toast on Market. I heard that Impellizzeri's was thinking about that area, but it's been a really great investment, I guess. And really, maybe I'm being selfish, but I really bought the business because it's setting me up financially so I can play music.
There you go.
So I can kind of draw an income, and I'm a little bit free in my days and nights and weekends, and it's a great support for my family, and I'm a musician. I'm not really a business owner, so I don't know if that's good or bad.
And how cool is it for a musician to have a day job owning a music store? I mean,
and it makes for really good practice spots for us.
Exactly.
Yep.
Free practice rooms.
Equipment, practice. We've got really. Most musicians can't afford equipment. I have too much equipment.
Exactly. And we were talking off the air. One of your guitar instructors, Nick Dittmeyer, was on Cumberland Country a few weeks back. And
yes, Nick. I actually was running sound at it was a party somewhere out in Georgetown, and there was just a bunch of indie bands playing original music, and Nick's band came on. They were last, and they just blew me away. And
Slithering Beast, is that who you're talking about?
And it was just really raw country, and they were fantastic. And actually, he started teaching at my store. It's probably been about 3-4 months ago, and we just started talking, and it turned out he was the singer in that band. I had no idea, and it's my jaw dropped. I said, "You are the guy singing in that band." I said, "You guys are fantastic." I said, "I tell everybody about you." So he's been a great addition to the store. He's a teacher, singer, songwriter. He teaches, voice, guitar, songwriting, and he's the real deal. I really like him.
He is. So, you guys get out, check out Jimmy's music. It's 123 East Market Street in New Albany.
123.
ABC.
Jimmy'sMusicCenter.com, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Olivia, for letting us do that.
You're welcome. He's got the voice for this, not me. It's him that needs to be doing all the talking.
But we are live with Olivia Henken, and I think I've got the name down right.
You did it that time.
I've been saying Henken, like Hank.
Yeah, that's what we call my dad, is Hank, because I guess so many years of going, it's Henken, not Hinken. So they just started calling him Hank.
Let's talk for a second about your live show. That's where the magic happens, the fun, I guess.
Yes.
What would you tell someone to expect when they come to an Olivia Henken show?
Well, of course, we're full of energy. I think that, I end up like looking a hot mess at the end of a show because I'm like sweating so bad and my hair's flying all over the place that I'm like, people always want pictures after the show, and I'm like, let's take them beforehand.
Before the show.
But and I think that we kind of surprise people sometimes because, I'm known as a country artist, but I do Adele. We do Rolling in the Deep. We do Sweet Child of Mine is my favorite song to do. And I think that when, we even do the ending, like the high part, and people are like, whoa, I did not expect that to come out of that little girl. But, we do the Beatles. We do Beatles. And that's, strictly Heartbreaker. Like all of these like crazy songs that just kind of come out of nowhere came from, these guys that are playing with me, because before they had joined the band, I was doing nothing but Kelly Pickler and Miranda Lambert and Carrie Underwood. That was it, and sticking to what I was comfortable with. And now that I've gotten out of that little box that I was in, now it's like, wow, where have I been? Like, that's what I mean by that album would sound so much different now if I was to record it right now, because it would have such more rock and roll and bluesy tones to it, to where, when you hear it, you want to just get up and dance and not. Of course, I'm my own biggest critic. Exactly. But I just think that they've brought out like such a different side in me, and almost borderline rock artist, but that's pretty much what country is kind of turning into nowadays, anyway. So I think it's a good fit.
Mm-hmm. Can I say something?
Sure.
No.
She's the boss.
One thing I like about what's happening with the band, the different influences, the rock and the country and the blues, even some jazz. And, I go back to maybe a band like the Eagles, and, everybody calls them country, but if you really analyze the musicians in the band, Joe Walsh was a blues guitar player, rock guitar player, Don Henley, Glenn Frey. All those guys, there's pop. When he was doing his solo stuff, Don Henley, it was all pop.
Sure.
So you've got this mess of different influences, and
a musical
Eagles,
gumbo.
And the Eagles were just, as we know, this one of the most unique. I guess everybody calls them country, but really the guys in the band weren't really country players. And you put them together, and maybe with some country flavor, they started a whole thing. So, I think that's when you hear us, there's all this stuff. And I like it because you can't really pigeonhole us. And I think that's really,
I think
I
that's
like that.
why we get the gigs that we get sometimes, because, you know, a lot of places don't want strictly a country artist or strictly rock and roll, and I think that we cater to so many, you know, just a huge crowd that we please everybody with our show, and I think that that's just a product of having these, you know, I have to brag on them all the time because without them I wouldn't be doing Heartbreaker and Sweet Child and I Love Rock and Roll.
Well, and we briefly touched on it earlier, but go ahead and mention the band again. And
I got James Gaetano, obviously here in the studio. Tom Dawson is in a bunch of rock and roll bands. I think Thunder Tribe is his other band that he's in.
Holly Weird.
Super rock and roll.
Right.
I mean, obviously, when you look at him, but you know that's why we love him, and he's who I get down with on the stage when James is getting down on his guitar over there. But and then we have Joe Lambert, who's behind us on drums, and he's the sweetest man you'll ever meet in your life, and he'll never tell you no, and he's super awesome. He's played for all kinds of bands around here, and how we know him is Karen Kraft. She was my vocal coach till I was about 12, and I sang with her growing up a lot, and it's one of my mom's good friends when she was young, and so it's kind of like a Louisville, I guess, like musical combination where you know you meet certain people just along the journey, and that's where we got Joe, and we stole him from a lot of stuff, but I think we're at a good combination now, and just everybody's like a family up there, and we get along, and everything's happy-go-lucky when we got on stage, so it's a good thing that we got going.
Well, we're getting this is another one of those shows where I wish I had more time. We've got 10 minutes left, and we're gonna play a cut that we were talking about, and then we're gonna see if we have time to come back and play another live one. But tell me about Derby Town.
Well, actually, a good friend of my dad's, Ronnie Gambrell, wrote this song, and he was just looking for someone to play on it, and I was like, well, obviously I'm from here. Like anytime that it's very commercial, and we wanted to, you know, market it to Churchill Downs and hopefully get it, you know, on a commercial or something for Louisville or downtown 4th Street, anything, like, because it encompasses everything Louisville is about during Derby, and obviously this is my favorite time other than the fair, you know, of being part of Louisville and just seeing everybody come in and our town become famous just for a few days. It's just it's a cool thing to be a part of. So we recorded it actually here in Louisville. The studio escapes me at the moment. It's been a little bit, but I mean, it's a fun song. It's definitely a commercial thing, but you know, during Derby, it means a lot, and it's great to be the artist that was featured on it.
Right. It is that time of the year, and I'm going to actually send this one out to a friend of mine named Sandra Spalding.